This is what I wish I had known earlier to build muscle as a natural lifter. No fluff, no Instagram highlight reel, just the honest truth on what it really takes. In this video, I'm 202 pounds, 92 kilos at 6'4", that's around 193 centimeters. And before I get into the details, I want to remind you this didn't happen in 6 months or even a year. Nope, it took over 2 decades, 20 years of fairly consistent training, paying attention to my nutrition, recovery, and yes, making plenty of mistakes. I made them so you don't have to. Over the last 10 years, I've helped many people like you build muscle and lose body fat. So if you're tired of wondering why you're not building muscle, stick around. I'm gonna break it all down. The first thing I wanna cover is expectations versus reality. No, it's not gonna take you anywhere near 20 years, but it does take some time. When I started out, I thought I had everything figured out. I saw some crazy transformations in as little as 3 months. I also saw charts telling me that I would gain anywhere between 10 to 20 pounds in my first year. So I figured out, even if it was on a lower end, 10 pounds of muscle, that's huge. My first year, I gained around 6 pounds of muscle at best. And the second year was around the same. I was doing everything right at the time. I followed the best workout plan I had access to, the best nutrition plan. Sure, if I look back, I could make lots of changes, but that was the best at the time. But that being said, if I'd done what most people do these days, just show up in the gym, not following a plan, not putting in the effort, no nutritional adjustments, I likely wouldn't have even seen those gains. Then I remember some gym bro telling me you need to eat big to get big. So just eat as much as you can. So as you can imagine, I ended up putting on way too much body fat and actually doubling my weight. So when I figured out the weight loss, and it was actually 4 years into my journey when I winded up here, I was 68 pounds, which is around 31 kilos heavier than when I actually started. And no, it wasn't that I was lazy, it's just that building muscle as a natural takes longer than you want it to. And if you're one of those people who gives up after a month because they don't look like Captain America, then this may not be for you. Remember, it took me 4 years to feel and look like I lifted, so don't compare yourself to others. Look at your journey and how you are progressing. And here's the thing about muscle growth. It's like planting a tree, you water it, you feed it, and you wait. And then you wait some more. But as humans, yes, we suck at waiting. Building muscle is a slow process. I remember through some phases, gaining as much as a pound a month, then looking at myself like 5 to 6 months later, wondering where that 5 to 6 pounds actually went. And then when you finally diet down, you realize there it is, all that hard work has paid off. So yes, it takes some time. And if you're not willing to wait for that feedback loop to kick in, you're in for a tough time. Muscle growth doesn't care about your need for instant gratification. So I understand this can feel disheartening and you can lose motivation. So instead of focusing on the outcome, the muscle growth, I want you to focus on the strength gains, which will be consistent, especially when you start following a well-structured plan. You might even fall in love with the process. This is why having a journal, where you write down your lifts and your reps, is super important. JE Fit or Strong are both apps which I like, and no, I'm not affiliated with them. They're just an app where you can record your weight and also your reps, and you can go back the next time and look at how you're progressing. This enables you to celebrate those wins as they come about, and you'll be a lot more motivated. And remember, like with anything, consistency is going to dictate your results. So you need a program that fits your routine. Done well often will defeat perfect sometimes. That's going to happen all day. Most of the time, it's not going to be the optimal science-based program that gets you the best results. It's going to be the program that's optimal for you and your schedule. Before I drop some golden nuggets, do me a favor and hit that like button. It seriously helps this channel grow, and it honestly means the world to me. So what's the dumbest thing I did? Trying to stay lean while gaining muscle. So in 2007, I remember reading in some magazine that to maximize muscle growth, first you have to get really lean, get rid of all your body fat. I got down to around 6%, thinking I would stay there and slowly gain muscle while being shredded all year round. And yes, you guessed it, I wasn't able to make progress and my recovery was was garbage. So if you're looking to compete, yes, shredded is where you need to be, but for the rest of us, there's no reason to stay at 6% body fat, and it's not something I recommend, especially if you want to build muscle. So if you're happy with your body fat levels and how lean you are, the research suggests we don't actually need 500 calories extra like some people would say. Some people say even more. It's more like 5 to 10%. That seems to be the sweet spot where you actually maximize muscle growth. And I always recommend starting on the lower end. Start with 5%, give it 4 weeks, and then assess your progress. So now for the second dumbest thing I did when it came to building muscle. The first time I lost weight, I didn't do any resistance training for like 4 to 5 months. All I did was run every single day and cut out carbs. I was under the impression that resistance training was for bulking and cardio was for cutting. I applied the same logic to carbs. So knowing what I know now is I had a lot of body fat to lose. I was still relatively new to a structured resistance training program. So I could have benefited from a body recomposition where you lose fat and build muscle. If you don't have much fat to lose, let's say you're 20% as a man and 25% as a woman, this can be a rough estimate, you'll likely be able to build muscle and lose fat while being at maintenance calories. If you've got a fair bit of fat to lose, let's say 25% as a man and 30% as a woman, a 20% deficit should allow you to recomp, so build muscle and lose fat. As if being lean wasn't enough, I went on to make another genius decision, and that was what some people call perma-cutting and what is known as mini cuts. I went on to do multiple mini cuts. So this is where I'll gain a bit, then go through cutting cycles, probably like every 12 weeks or so. Look, trying to stay under 10% body fat while building muscle is like trying to fill a bucket with holes in it. It's not gonna happen. If you want real progress, you're gonna need long periods of gaining, not yo-yoing in and out of a calorie deficit. If you're happy with your current levels of body fat, I suggest spending 12 to 18 months, sometimes 2 years in a bulking phase. What you need to remember is if you're keeping a moderate surplus, like I suggested earlier, 5 to 10%, you should be pretty happy with your progress. Aim for around 0.25 to 0.5 pounds of weight gain per week. If your weight gain is slightly higher, you can reduce your calories slightly, but remember, this is an average. You're not gonna gain exactly that amount every week. And let me just throw this out there. Most of these guys and girls you see on Instagram that are shredded all year round, they're likely not natural. For most of us, staying shredded 24/7 is a fantasy. Now here's something not many people tell you. Building muscle gets fragile the longer you're at it. And here's what I mean. Let's say you're training 4 to 6 times a week. You're training every body part. You're maximizing the volume. There's not much room for extra intensity. I tried adding like HIIT training. I did martial arts, mixed martial arts for years. And to be honest, the only thing that happened was my recovery was taxed. I couldn't recover properly between workouts, but what I did realize was that I could still stay active by walking, and that didn't affect my recovery. Your recovery impacts your ability to build muscle, so you need to make sure that's under control. And then we're talking about lifestyle factors too. If you're drinking, you're not sleeping properly, and you're eating like a 5-year-old, you can't expect to build muscle. I've had periods in my life where it's got very stressful, and no matter how hard I tried, I just went into maintenance mode. So one last harsh truth, if you want to build muscle, there will be trade-offs. You can't, like I said, go partying all weekend. You can't just completely neglect your nutrition and not put the effort into the gym and expect to see results. You have to choose what's more important to you. The lifestyle, maybe you go out partying often, that or building muscle. So probably not something you want to hear, but it's worth me saying. As you get closer to your genetic potential, you have to dot more I's and cross more T's. You have to pay extra attention to your sleep, not just the length, the quality, and also your nutrition day to day. But that's just life. You'll have periods where you can completely crush your workouts, set personal bests, and see great levels of growth, and you'll have periods where you're just trying to hang on and maintain that habit. And that's fine. Just know when to push and when to pull back and how much your body can handle. And that's all I wanted to cover. If you want to know the sets, reps, and volume to build muscle, then you might want to watch a video I did a couple of months ago. I think it was a couple of months ago. Either way, I'm going to update this video soon, but this will give you a good idea wherever you're at, beginner, intermediate, or advanced. Thanks for watching. Have the best day ever.